finding no evidence for God put me off from Islam.
And I'm with Armin.
Hi.
Welcome to England.
Thank you.
How long are you here for?
I'm here for 3 weeks, but it's already been a couple, at least half of it. So I'm here till August 17th. Yeah.
And you've been invited to speak about atheism, right?
Well, I'm going to a conference called, what's the name of the conference on 17th? 16th, Atheist Assemble.
Atheist Assemble, okay.
Yeah. So by Vidu Wids and Mimsy Wids, ex-Muslims,
I know, I'm very familiar with their channel.
Yes.
And you have a channel as well, right?
I have multiple. The main one is, the two main ones are Atheist Republic and Secular Jihadists. Yeah.
Are you a secular jihadist?
Yes, I am.
Why are you a secular jihadist? Why do you need to struggle to promote secularism?
Well, because secularism is good for everyone. So obviously, we're trying to all spread what we think what improves people's lives, improves society, improves people's well-being. I think secularism is an important part of it.
Is it good for religious people that want to practice their religion?
Yeah, secularism is good for everyone, including religious people.
And what does secularism mean?
Secularism means that there's no religion has no governing influence in people's lives. Right? When policies, laws are not influenced by religion.
And secular literally means worldly. I think I'm right in saying that from the Latin. Seclorum.
Oh, okay, but that might be the original definition. But
what does it mean to you?
I mean, to me, it means without religion. But without religion, not as in you're forcing people to leave their religion, but you're not letting their religions to dictate how other people live. Yeah.
But is it your idea that the world is the world, this is our life, and after that there's nothing? That's your form of secularism?
No, that's I'm not just a secularist.
Okay.
I am other things other than a secularist.
Okay.
Secularism doesn't have a position over that.
Okay.
Secularism just don't bring religion into government, right? But that comes from my other, I'm also an atheist.
Okay.
So that's part of my atheism. But I'm also a humanist, so I'm not just defined by secularism. That's one of the many things I am.
So could there be secular people that believe in God?
Yes.
Could there be secular people that follow a religion?
Yes, but
or identify with one?
Yeah, and sometimes people are following a religion, but they're not following it 100%. So, for example, somebody could be a Muslim and a secular, believe in secularism, but you say, well, that seems like a contradiction because Islam doesn't leave any room for secularism. But to be fair, though, a lot of people don't really follow their religion, all the way, and there's a lot of contradictions in people's beliefs. So, and that's why they're still a Muslim and they have Islamic belief, but they're not following. But they still believe in secularism. It's possible. I met a lot of Muslims that believe in gay rights, believe in women rights, believe in democracy, believe in secularism, but all of those ideas is against Islam. I'm not going to say they're not Muslim. I'm just going to say they're Muslims that are not following Islam to its very core.
Could it be they just have a different understanding of Islam?
Well, not really, because it's pretty clear. They have a different understanding, but their understanding of Islam is incorrect. So yeah, they have a different understanding. They have an incorrect understanding of Islam.
How do we know that there's a correct understanding of Islam?
You just read the Quran and the Hadith. Some parts are vague. Some parts are, you could say, well, this could mean this could mean that, and it's not very obvious what the meaning is. But there are other parts that are pretty straightforward and to the point.
Straightforward. Well, okay. I always think that any passage of text is open to different interpretation. You said the Quran and Hadith. Some Muslims call themselves Quran alone Muslims, and they only read the Quran. Obviously, they're rejected by the vast majority of other Muslims.
Yes.
But again, it's just people telling people how to interpret their religion.
if a verse tells you, for example, that if you fear disobedience from your wife, beat her.
Okay,
right?
it's a popular one.
Yeah.
Darab, but it could mean yell at them. It could mean hit them with an idea.
You have to be very dishonest to read that way.
Okay, but there are people who are dishonest, as you could say, or maybe they're kidding themselves, but they interpret it that way because they don't want it to mean hit someone.
Exactly. So they are better than the Quran. These are people that, this is what I say. I say most Muslims are better than the Quran, and most Christians are better than the Bible, because they have most Muslims have values superior to the Quran, the values of the Quran. And when they are so desperately trying for a verse that clearly says, like it's really hard to come up with an excuse for this verse to mean something else.
There will be people making the argument.
They're trying to, but it's a silver lining is that these are good people. They want this verse to mean something else, even though it clearly doesn't. I appreciate the fact that these are good people, but I'm not gonna play their game. While I appreciate and acknowledge that these are good people that don't want this verse to mean something else, I'm still not going to lie to them and say I accept that this verse means something else. I'm going to be very honest with them. I feel like I understand that you don't support this value, but this book is not saying that.
Are there any other particular teachings or source verses that you'd want to mention that you find objectionable?
Well, I mean, the Quran promotes slavery. It allows capturing women in war as sex slaves.
Does it promote it, or was that practiced at the time, therefore it has to have a ruling for it?
Well, no,
the Bible doesn't outlaw slavery, and slavery was practiced at the time, so by implication, the Bible permits slavery, or it doesn't ban it.
It does. Well, I mean, there is a verse. You tell me if this is just permitting or also promoting. It says, do not have sex with women that are married, except when you capture them in war. So I don't know, is that permitting or is that promoting?
Permitting or promoting slavery?
Yeah.
It's certainly
sex slaves
would seem to be condoning it, and someone with a bad intention could use it to justify it. The good people that you talk about might say that was for then and we don't do it now, and it's only during war and only if they attack you.
Many problems with that was for then that we don't do it now. Is first of all, even if it was just for then, it's still pretty horrific. You know, raping women is horrific now, but it's also horrific back then. Okay, so it doesn't excuse their book, even if it was just for a short period of time. Another thing is that goes against the entire point of the Quran, is to be an example of how to live at all times. If you constantly say that this was for then you're missing the entire point of having a Quran, right? The third thing is that about this was for then is like, yeah, we know that this is how people lived back then. The problem with religion is exactly that, because we are now living in better times with better values and with better ways of living. The problem with religion is that it brings the standard of those times, and it's trying to bring those standards that we have gotten rid of to today, to today's life. That's the problem with religion.
Going back then, wasn't it a step forward at the time?
Going back
when everyone was raping and capturing people, etc. This at least says treat your slaves well.
Okay, so
be kind to them, and a good thing to do is free the slaves.
There are examples of where Islam made things worse and examples of where Islam made things a bit better. There's examples of both. But the point is that's let's say, like, if somebody goes from killing and raping people to only raping them and not killing them, we don't say that, okay, this
progress.
This is what maybe it's better, but we don't say like this is a good person, right? We still acknowledge that this is a person that goes around and rapes people, even though they're not killing anyone anymore, right?
Okay, but we have to look at the direction of travel. I always think. Is it getting better or worse? I think society is better now, as you say.
Society is way better.
A lot of people say to me, "What? No, it's worse."
No, society is a lot better now, and a lot of people people don't acknowledge that it's getting better, and we need to appreciate what made it better. Look at the sources of progress. A lot of it came from this country and France, by the way, the values that made the world better.
Are those Christian values or secular values?
No, they're Enlightenment values.
Enlightenment. What caused the Enlightenment?
Well, how far back do you want to go? So the Enlightenment, that's a very long answer. Yeah. Right, but I mean, to give credit to some Muslim people, which has nothing to do with Islam, it's because of Muslims, not because of Islam. The Enlightenment in Europe happened because some Arabs found translated Greek philosophers, and these are works that would have been lost to history if the Arabs didn't translate it. And in Europe in the 1700s, these texts really influenced the Enlightenment views here.
So you don't want to give any credit to Islam and the fact they were Muslims,
no.
Abu Sina, all these people?
No, because because the work that they did had no roots in Islam.
Okay.
Right? Look at what they did. Like, these were people that did philosophy.
But maybe Islam taught them to be thinking and critical.
No, go look at their thoughts. In fact, Islam held them back.
But the Quran says it's for a people who are thinking people.
No. Well, religion, both when it comes to Europe and when it comes to the golden age of Arabs in Islamic countries, religion held them back. It didn't promote it. Whenever an empire becomes rich, any empire that becomes rich, at some point they stop doing war and they start focusing on philosophy, art, and science. Okay, it wasn't because they were Islamic that they did science and philosophy and science. It was because they became a rich empire.
But they were united under Islam, and that's what allowed them to do that.
Every empire that became rich eventually decided, let's stop killing and start focusing on some other, they became interested in other things. Even the freaking Mongols that they were the people that were the most obsessed with killing and raping and pillaging, even they at some point became so rich that they decided to do some poetry and building.
They became Muslim, right?
No, the Mongols became many things. The Mongols became Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, depending on where they were. But what I'm saying is that that's not a feature of Islam that made the Arab Empire.
I heard the Mongols were the first people that adopted the religion of a people they'd conquered. They conquered Muslims and then became Muslim.
They were very pragmatic.
The Mughal Empire comes from the Mongols. Yeah, the Mongols in India.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right, look, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but if I could do a little 2 minutes on just who you are, where you came from, if you don't mind answering those questions. I understand that you lived in Iran.
Yeah.
Did the Islamic Republic of Iran put you off Islam?
No. Finding no evidence for God put me off from Islam.
Okay, so it's not because you grew up in a country where it was forced upon you.
When I was a Muslim, seeing the bad things Muslims do, that to me that was like Muslims. That was not God. Muslims could, I said Muslims could do horrible things. That's Muslims are bad. Islam and God is perfect. So that didn't impact me. What impacted me is I started questioning why I believe the things I believe in. And I went in the hunt for evidence for the things I believe in. And lack of evidence made me realize that I believe in things with no good reason.
And as you said, a secular person could still identify. Are you still proud of some of your religious heritage, or do you feel an affection for it?
I'm not proud of anything that I'm not responsible for. Okay? I'm from Iran, and whatever accomplishments Iranians have done, if it wasn't for me, I'm not proud of it. I'm proud of the things that I have accomplished. If Iranian people have done horrible things, I'm not ashamed of that. I'm only ashamed of the things that I have done that is wrong.
Well, look. Be proud that you were on this channel, and I'm very proud to have you on here. Thank you so much. Have a great time in London.
You can follow. You can subscribe to Atheist Republic and Secular Jihadists podcast. Yeah.
Atheist Republic and Secular Jihadists podcast, and look out for Armin at the conference coming up, the Atheist
Assemble, August 16th.
August 16th, the Atheist Assemble.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Merci, Aga. Thank you very much.